Okay, well, after a little bit of shit kicking and everything else with my quad, I decided to bring it home. Got a few things I need to do on it. One is check the belt, because it feels like the belt's kind of slipping a little bit. Could just be that it's wet, but it's due. It has about 3,000 miles or so on the, well, actually it's better if I just check. 200 hours. 3,581 miles. Now, I did bring it to the dealership to so-called have the belt changed at one time, but by looking at all the nuts, the bolts, and everything, I have a feeling they might not have changed it, even though I paid for them to change it, so I'm just going to check it anyway. I also noticed, I'll turn on the light here, and if I can turn on the light, my carb is starting to seep, which is not that big of a deal. I also found a random 22 Magnum shell sitting on top of by the spark plug there, so that was a good thing to remove, so I threw that in the trash. So basically I'm going to be pulling off the belt, and I just decided I might as well make a video along with it. What do you want? Okay, so I actually decided I'm going to actually pull off the entire rear fender and rack assembly. Make it a little bit easier to get to the belt and everything. What, did I wake you up? Yeah. Having fun watching me working on this thing. Anyway, I got off the rear fender. That was pretty easy. Straightforward. Don't need to explain anything about that, how it removes. The reason why I'm removing the back fender when I really didn't have to, I could have just did this area here, is I actually want to check out, I have an oil leak behind here. You can see my carb starting to seep. And just a general checkup, see if there's anything shoved up in there. Just a general checkup, pretty much. It only took maybe 15-20 minutes to take that off. Where are you going, Percy? Doing laps around me. Anyway, I thought on this video here I might as well show how to remove these clips. Upholstery clips, I guess. You can actually buy a pack of them on eBay. I think the last pack I bought came with 25 clips for like $5. The tool I use is just a standard upholstery tool. I'm not sure if it's the exact one that most people use on these clips, but I always do. Basically, you look how it has a couple ends cut off there, like this flat. Put your tool in, you pull, that pops out easy. That's just your clip that locks it. Then you can use your fingers or just go underneath, and then the rest of it pulls out. That is it. And you can see when the pin gets pushed in there how it tightens up and locks. Hitting bumps and a couple of rocks and stuff, I have knocked a few, where did I put it? It fell in there, damn it. I have knocked a few of them loose. A little bit of damage on this footwell. Also some damage on the bottom there. That there was actually just from the last day of hunting season. I went over top a log. Didn't feel like going around the long way, and with all the trees down, I just decided to hit it. Okay, so I got the cover off. So that's pretty messy. There's quite a bit of mud shoved up inside it. And also I'm going to take these off while I'm doing it. Those are just foot extensions for the passenger, so I'm not going to be using those after. So now for the fun part, to taking everything apart here. Okay, so I have the cover off here. Everything looks to be nice and clean, nice and dry. The belt seems to be in great shape. One thing I did notice when I pulled this back is one of my temperature sensor wires are actually disconnected. So it's the one from the top of the cylinder there. It's kind of hard to see on the light here. That guy right there is actually disconnected. So now I got to find out where that connects, where it's meant to go back onto. Oh, here's another thing I just noticed here. Air breather disconnected. Shut off the TV. Sure, I could have shut that off before I started, but I normally forget. You gotta love how wide this machine, or how long this machine is. You really don't see it until you have a normal Polaris in front of it. This is the second up model. On a normal Polaris, the front clutch is about over here, and the rear clutch is here, and then your back wheel starts about right here. So it's about a foot longer than a normal quad, so it makes it super, super sweet for going up hills. I plugged back in the sensor wire. Still got a whole pile of stuff to go over. But what I'm going to do for now, you can see how dirty that air filter is. Turn on my light here. Look at that, like holy crap. Enough oil on the bottom and enough pine needles in there. So basically for now I'm going to actually pull off the front fenders. I'm just checking for any cracks in the frame, anything that I need to worry about. I'm also thinking of ordering a clutch kit, seeing I have it apart. The belt ended up being in great shape. The way I always tell is just turn it inside out and look for cracks inside it. Seems to be great. I'll do a nice cold start here. Just make sure nothing's stuck in it. It's not a cold start actually because it's plus 23 or 21 Celsius in here. Hope if I had it in the run. Oh, no, there we go. It's in gear. Can't go anywhere anyway because I don't have the belt on. But that's why I wasn't going. As you see the dust fly off that freaking clutch, that was pretty sweet. So give it a little rev. It's not going to go anywhere. A little bit of a squeak coming from the clutch here. Gotta love the sound of it without the top on the airbox. Oh, and I might as well throw this in the video, seeing you see that I'm not running a pre-filter on here. The reason why a pre-filter is not on this air filter is because it's winter, and I recently had, when I took off the air filter last, it was actually pretty much destroyed, weather beat, cracked apart, just fell apart on me. So the only time this quad has been used so far is in the winter. And actually it has some pretty good dust in it for just being used in the winter. But there's no sand or anything for what I'm going in. You can see there's fair enough oil from that air filter. I just give it a spray down every once in a while. But I always recommend running a pre-filter on it. It's very, very, very bad not to run a pre-charge pre-filter, whatever the hell they're called. Again, the only reason why I'm not have mine on it is because the last time I had it in for a service, which was just before hunting season, where there was still quite a bit of snow on the ground, I couldn't get a replacement in time. I do have a replacement inside right now, so I'll be putting that on before I throw it all together. Pile of parts for now. So, and like I said, I am going to be pulling off the front fender. So you can see I got some pretty good leakages happening down there, so I'm sure of it. It's just all from the top around the diaphragm on top of the carb. Well, if you want to call that a diaphragm, I guess. But and like I said, there was a sensor unhooked right there, that blue wire right here. But anyway, maybe I'll add to the video how to take off your belt on one of these. I'm sure most people know how to remove a belt off a snowmobile or anything like that. Pretty much you just pull up on your belt until it's pull up on it till it's loose, gets tight, and then you just fold it over the side. Like kind of pull it over and then spin it is the way I always do it. Good way to pop it on, pop it off real quick. And again, to change your belt, you do not have to remove the back fender. Again, the only reason why I'm doing it is because I want to check for any kind of crackages on the frame. That's just dirt. So far I don't see anything. Also looking to see if there's any bent areas where the frame is bent or anything. From what I can see, everything is in great shape on the frame. I noticed just earlier today that my whole headlight assembly here fell in. So I got to figure out what's up with that. Can't really show it here, so must have hit a tree before. I'm also going to be mounting some LED spotlights on it, so I'm going to run a secondary wiring harness from the battery, which is actually just in this open area here, up to the front. So to do that, I could do it without removing the front fender. But like I said, I want to remove it just to double check that there's nothing broken pretty much on it, nothing cracked. So, and of course I actually spent $10 at the car wash. But man, it's still freaking dirty, this thing. So you can see that's all oil leaked up in there from in the airbox. So I want to clean all that up Oh, and if you're wondering why oil's in the airbox, when you have a machine upside down, from your crankcase vent lines, right here, there's a filter on there, and then there's the other one here. Yes, and sometimes even through the intake, depends how long it's upside down. Yes, you'll have oil in your you'll have oil in your airbox if you ever have it upside down. So if you ever have your quad upside down, I highly recommend cleaning oil out of your airbox and changing or replacing the filter. So this filter has been already cleaned about 3-4 times at least. Also notice my grips are pretty much non-existent anymore. It's nice and smooth at the top. So I'm going to be mounting new grips on it. That inner fender well, or whatever you want to call it, your footrest, I'm going to be replacing that because as you can see it's pretty cracked up and there's a few other spots that's broken on it. I'm planning on changing the tires. They're down to about 65%, I'd say. Might be doing the clutch kit. I don't think I'll be lifting it because the height-wise I don't think it's that bad. I don't want it to be too top-heavy. And of course I'm going to be doing an oil change again, even though it only has 200 miles on this oil, but it was before winter, so, and I'm probably not going to be taking it out now until in the spring. So I'm going to change the motor oil again. For the price, it's pretty cheap. Last time I changed the front wheel bearing on it there. I'm going to be checking the back ones, checking all the CB shafts. I'm probably going to change the spark plug too while I'm at it, even though I'm sure it's mint shape. Newer machines, most people don't change the spark plugs too often, but that I'm going to do. Also, some exhaust shielding needs to be replaced. The actual stuff stuck up underneath the fender. I noticed some of it's peeling off. I can't really show you because there's none here. I noticed my exhaust shield on this side here was all cracked shit. Can't really find the spot here, but you can see the spider cracking happening right there. It's all spider cracked. So it's actually right here is cracked too. See? So it's actually starting to vibrate again. I had problems since I got this machine with either this piece here or that vibrating and making a horrible sound. So I'm going to be going over that. Might change it to something different, hard to say. The reason why I'm making this video is just if I ever sell the machine, someone can see what was done to it, and just for my myself if I ever want to look back to see what I did to it. And of course, it even has a pretty sweet sticker on it. So I wanted to find one that said Polaris on it, but all I could find is ATV, so whatever. Okay, that's where I'm going to end this. And of course, before the diff, I already had last service, or 2 services ago, whenever it was, the diff fluid was changed, tranny fluid was changed, front diff fluid was changed. All the fluids were already changed once. I don't think I'll be doing that again. I'm also thinking of adding an aftermarket exhaust onto it. But again, I use it kind of for hunting, so I'd have to be able to make it easy swap to put back on the stock one. Okay, so I got the front fender off. Nothing fancy with the front fender. Came off super easy. From what I can see so far, everything looks fine in here. One thing I always like to do is put a zip tie around where the fuses go. This is factory, a piece of tape. Look how shitty that was. Oh gee, that's going to hold those fuses in, hey? Just because bumping around, they will somewhat get loosened up. There's some kind of nest in there from some kind of critter. I can't even really focus. There we go. Nothing major. I'm going to pull out all those fuses, check well, there's no need really to check them, but clean every one of them up. Check my rad fan, go through the whole system. This is where you turn on and off your fuel. So it's in line. Most people don't know where it is on this machine. You got to pop off your center hood, which just pulls down and then off. To get to your center hood, you just got to take off your front rack. So you just grab that center panel, you pull down, and then you can get to it. So it looks like a computer Molex connector. That's the one that plugs into their diagnostic scanner. So I know that because I was actually at the dealership when I bought it and when they were programming it. Holy, look at the water that is pouring out of that loom. You missed it. I just dumped it in a whole pile of water just came out of that loom. So I know when I put everything back on there to face them all down. That looks like the coil there. Yep. So anyway, not really anything to this machine. It's the wiring, everything actually looks even more basic than the Polaris Explorer 400 two-stroke that we have outside. Just going over all the hoses, all the drain vents. It's just a general service pretty much. I'm checking out everything. I could pull this out of there in a second. Notice the fuel tank hose was pulled out of there. So that's just your vent hose. You'll see when you run the machine, if you look down there, you'll see bubbles going down it. Put back on the fuel cap here just before something falls in there. I would not want that to happen. There's the fuel pump, or not fuel pump, sensor for your fuel level. So this one's not fuel injected, carbureted, so it doesn't have a fuel pump. Well, it has a fuel pump, but it's not the electric one. The fuel pump on this machine's right here, and it runs off the vacuum of your carburetor or engine. So it's a pulsing style one. So in that, there's just your fuel sender, which everything's working good in there. Hoping that's not gas. I'm hoping that's just water. So everything seems to be tight in the front end still. That's a bonus. Again, the reason why I'm taking off the front fenders, I'll say it one more time because I'll probably end up accidentally cutting that out, is I'm going to be mounting a toggle switch in the pod, and it's going to be turning on an extra set of LED lights. Holy, did that ever get hit? The little rubber O-ring that normally holds the light in place, you can see it's just dry rotted. Can't even get that in the video. But that's the O-ring that holds your, suspends your light inside there. The O-ring just calved, so you can find another O-ring from anywhere. That's not too important. Nothing I don't think's broken on there. So check all my connectors on all my lights. There has some water coming out of it. It doesn't surprise me. So yeah, you can see all the grounds all in one. All those wires going to one ground, hey? So that's the way I've seen quite a few quads done like that. So anyway, that's right there. You can see the sensor right there that's disconnected. So it's some kind of temperature sensor because it's into the water jacket. Why it was disconnected, I'm not too sure. I actually, if I remember right, remember seeing it disconnected before. This here that looked like it was leaking oil from me is just from the crankcase breather from the airbox. So that's why it's all jiggly and stuff. This screw here normally goes onto your clutch cover. Because whenever a machine is covered in that much gas, that much grease, and all this dirt, where I ride, it is so freaking dry, and there's normally a fire ban in certain times. And I use this for hunting, so I'm constantly going down trails that could pretty much catch fire. So I remember once I got a stick stuck up in the bottom here and it was touching the exhaust and it started smoking and damn near caught on fire. So that would not be good. So I'm going to brake clean the shit out of everything, bring it back to the car wash, clean it all up. I'm the kind of guy that likes to take everything apart, make sure everything's in mint shape, check all the wires, figure out where all the problems are before it starts to corrode. That's just a vent for the coolant bottle, so it runs up to the top here. Make sure that doesn't get pinched, of course. Not sure where it used to run, but it's a little bit loose there. Make sure it stays nice and tucked up in there after. These are other vents here. Nope, this one's your choke cable here. This one here is a vent that's probably coming from the rear differential by the looks of it. Of course, coolant lines. Oil lines and a bottom coolant line, crankcase breather, brake line. This one here is a battery box, by the looks of it, battery box breather. Also, I'm going to be changing that battery because it sucks, as you've probably seen in the last video. Okay, it's about minus 26 outside Celsius. See if it's going to start up. Last night went down to minus 32, so it was pretty cold last night. See what happens. Nope, almost did. It's cold. Anyway, now that I got it in here, I'm going to be going to buy my exhaust wrap. I'm going to be wrapping the entire exhaust. But first, I'm thinking of actually loading it onto my truck and bringing it to a car wash. I already degreased the engine because there is a leak because one of the vent lines from the engine actually burnt off from the shitty exhaust. So one of the overflow lines, so that's not good. As I was saying before, I had a little bit of a smoky kind of fire thing underneath it once, so that's why I want to wrap the exhaust. And of course, with gas leaking everywhere, that was not a good thing either. So, so yeah, off to go buy some exhaust wrap. Okay, so I picked up a few more things for it. Just a standard K&N filter recharge kit. Other than that, I got some exhaust wrap. It's a pretty hefty pack of it. Looks to be about 2 inches thick. Should be enough for me to do quite a bit of stuff. It was a little bit more money than I expected it to be. Ended up being 76 bucks plus tax or whatever. Yeah, I ended up getting like 13% off or whatever, so it ended up saving the taxes, but whatever. I know I could have ordered it on eBay for quite a bit cheaper, but the whole point is I want to get this machine done. I want to get it out of the garage as soon as possible. Another thing I should have put on my other videos, if I turn this on a little bit better here, you can see this exhaust shield is just cracked, which is making it vibrate like hell. You can see up here, it's cracked too. So, and dented down here. I'm guessing that's from a stick coming up. There's a few other little cracks on it somewhere else. I just can't remember where they are right now. But I'm going to wrap the entire exhaust system all the way. Pretty much on the entire machine. And then I'm going to stop at the muffler here. I was thinking of doing a muffler too, because believe it or not, that muffler gets super, super hot on this machine. The paint just burnt off the machine when I got it, of course, within the first maybe 2 hours of driving it. So that's a known problem with these machines. I also picked up some cleaners and degreasers, which somehow got covered in water because the machine had some water on it. So I just got some sensor safe brake clean, the standard crappy tire brand, and some engine degreaser. So I just got to read and see if you're meant to wash this off after instantly or if it can sit. Just got to double check with that. Okay, so just because I'm wrapping the exhaust with some header wrap, I realized, hey, I can actually take off that exhaust in about 2 minutes. So I did, and guess what? I'm going to see what it sounds like with no exhaust. Chokes off. Sounds like a fucking trombone. That. Oh, that wakes it up. Fuck, it almost sounds like a Harley. Okay, so first of all, I started off with one piece from there to there, one piece from here to here, and one piece from starting here to over here. And I'm just using the standard safety lock wire, which I normally use for grips, but I also have used it before on exhaust wrap. So by the looks of it, this row here is going to be more than enough. I'm actually thinking I might actually wrap the entire pipe with it too, not just a header. So just wrap the entire pipe. I don't see why not. So I got it spare. Might as well go ahead and do it. No choke, nothing. Garage is at about plus 15 Celsius. take it down the trails like that so bad. Not going to rev it up any more than that, but well, it looks like my starting issue is completely solved. Shouldn't have to do any more issues. The problems that I had to fix was there's a few vent lines on the carburetor melted off, which isn't that big of a deal, besides the fact that they're leaking onto the hot engine, which was actually leaking onto the hot exhaust. One of the temperature sensors on the head were unplugged, so that's probably the main starting issue right there. Other than that, I just did a general look over. Found a couple of the front fuses were half unplugged, so that was never a good thing. I wrapped the entire exhaust with exhaust wrap, besides the actual muffler itself, but I might even wrap that. I got quite a bit of exhaust wrap left sitting there. And that's where I'm going to leave it. And right now it's about 11 or 10:30 in the morning or so, and I'm about to take a 2-hour drive out to Gull Lake, Manitoba with my buddy Dale, and we're going to go start up his car that has been sitting since late fall, I guess. So it has a 350 board over to a 355, so man, that exhaust wrap is just smoking like a son of a bitch. Turn on the light, see if it's any better. It's actually starting to smoke here at the back of it. Makes it look like the quad's on fire, eh? Oh man, the smell of that is just so weird. I was actually tempted to take it for a boot down the back lane to burn it off, but I don't need the cops here. Man, that sounds funny, sucking it through the filter like that. Watch the difference in sound now. Completely different sound with the airbox top on. Well, it looks like it's almost done burning, so that's the end of this. Well, the smoke pretty much stopped, so I take it that's pretty much cooked on. Still smoking a bit. I could close the big door. Okay, so I thought I'd do a bit of an update on this. Got the exhaust wrapped. Front of it, anyway, the header pipe, all the way up to the back. I am thinking of doing the entire exhaust on it. I'm just not too sure if I'm going to do that, or I should call it the muffler. Other than that, that's pretty much where it's sitting. I'm just doing this update video for anyone that gives a damn. I actually had a bunch of videos that I made taking it apart. Basically, the reason why I took it apart here is that I wanted to check the belt. Check all the wiring. I wanted to do an oil change. The carb was seeping. I think it's not too sure. I cleaned it off. I haven't ran it since. But you can see it's pretty damn dirty in there. air filter needs to be cleaned. Turn on the light here. You can see all those sticks in the bottom there. It was actually just packed with them. I cleaned out most of them. Like I was saying before, I had a stick get stuck up there and actually start smoking pretty damn good under the quad during hunting season. It was starting to run like shit, which ended up being, I'll show you on the other side here. Crawling under all this. So it ended up being this wire right here, ended up unplugging itself, which goes right there to the sensor on top of the engine. I'm hoping that's only the issue that I was having with it running rough. Other than that, the belt seems to be good. I'm probably going to change it anyway, seeing I already have everything apart here. Just better, be safe than sorry. It still has 2,000 miles on it, so I know a lot of people don't even get nowhere near 2,000 miles out of their belt. But this one here has 2,000 miles on it. My first belt had 1,500 miles on it, so the actual quad has 3,500 miles on it. So it's pretty much due. The battery is getting weak on it, as you've seen in my starting video. But mind you, it was just damn cold that day. So I'm going to check all the connectors. I'm going to be running power wires up to the front, up to the headlight. I'm going to be mounting a blinking LED light to the top of the pod, either here or here, with a toggle switch here. And it's actually going to be a key switch, I'm thinking, a low key. The reason why I'm thinking of doing that is for hunting season. When you go hunting and you can't find your way back to your quad because it's that dark, would be kind of neat to turn the key, which turns on a blinking LED. I actually had them sitting on top of the quad here, but I guess they fell. I had a 2-pack of them, just eBay specials. Have no idea where they went. But I'm thinking I'm going to mount them right up to the top. I was thinking of mounting them up on the spotlight here, but the spotlight, the switch is already broken on it. It's just, I could always bypass that switch and mount a different switch. But it's not like I use the spotlight at all, so it's mostly just for loading up the quad at night. So that's most likely being yanked off. So the blinking LED light, and I'm going to be adding another set of lights on it. So I'm going to have a set of LED lights on the front. I'm also going to do the 3 light mod. So when you go on high beam, the low light beam lights come on too. You can go to Polaris. The Polaris ATV forums site, and they show you the mod of what to change in here. I'm going to be doing it kind of my own way, but same idea. Just a separate relay, so it's a whole new power for the headlights pretty much. Other than that, I'm going to be doing a rear tail light. There's tail lights that run all the time on the quad. I'm going to be putting in a delete switch, so at any time I can flick a switch and the tail light shut off. And then I'll be able to flick a switch and turn on just my LED front lights, just for some ATV games at night pretty much. I might as well do a little bit of a dirty cold start. I do got to burn that exhaust header wrap. So as you can see, it starts up pretty much instantly right now. That was no choke, but it's also plus 15, 16 in the garage. So I don't want to melt my shitty notebook. Don't fall on the ground. So, as you can see, the exhaust is back together. It's not loud no more. I don't need to leave it running yet. So, yeah, I just wanted to do a bit of an update on here, just for some people wondering why I took it apart. It's just because at the end of my last drive, when I did that cold start video, you can see how it stalled at the end, and that's just the fact that it was overfueling itself because the temperature gauge, I guess, was off. So I'm hoping that's what the issue is. I am going to run a little bit of seafoam through it. There's also a couple vent lines on the carburetor the one main vent line from the bottom of the carburetor that was melted off. So that's not good, especially the fact that the whole engine was soaked with gas because of that. It's not leaking anything anymore. As for tires, I do plan on upgrading the tires, but I don't know if I'll do that till spring. You can see those tires are pretty damn bald. So anyone that cares, that's about 36,000 miles, or not 36,000, 3,600 miles on those. Hopefully when I said it before, I never said 36,000. I mean 3,600. So, but the hours are still pretty low. Yeah, so that's pretty damn low if you ask me for hours. 3581, whatever, close enough. Check engine light's just bouncing because I gotta get it reset. This is the Molex connector, as they call it, where they would reset it at the dealership, as far as I can tell. And the reason why I took off the fenders again, just to check for cracks in the frame, and because I want to be able to run a spare auxiliary wires to the back. I do plan on pulling a trailer with it, so it'd be nice to have auxiliary 12 volts to the back. So basically I'm going to run a relay off the ignition to the front with some heavy gauge wires, so I can have some heavy gauge lights on the front, but most of the time I'll just use a 72 watt light bar on the front. Might just use two 24 watt LED lights, kind of like what I have on my my dad's quad. Well, half my dad's, half mine, the Polaris Explorer. Same ones I used to have on the Warrior. So I might just get a set like that. Yeah, all the bearings seem to be good. CB shafts seem to be good. Brakes are good. Air filters is completely dirty, but this machine has been upside down already 3 times. So every time that happens, the airbox gets filled with oil and then it leaks out the bottom everywhere. So, yeah, if you ever roll your quad, make sure you take the oil out of your airbox immediately. So it only been upside down 3 times, so that's pretty decent anyway. So a couple of the fenders have little marks on them, but nothing major. No cracks. The other footwell, like this on the other side, is mixing a good chunk because the last time I used it, I went over a pretty damn big log with it. Yeah, that's the end of this shitty video. I just wanted to do an update because I have some people PMing me, personal messaging me, asking what's up with the quad. So a couple of my buddies want to go riding hopefully this weekend, and it's Thursday night right now, and yeah, I'm probably going to be too lazy to get it done. I've been working way too much at my work lately, so